Hey guys, welcome to Sippin' and Spillin' with Sid from 3 Mississippi. Today is Friday. Uh, I have been absent from social media for the last few days. We didn't do our live on Wednesday. Um, I didn't want to make this video, to be very honest. Not the video that I wanted to make. Um, those of you that know or have been following our journey here, we had gotten a couple of livestock guardian dogs, and one of them started showing signs of illness right after getting a rabies vaccine, which may or may not be connected. We don't know. And this last week was really intense. Um, I the I had taken her to the vet. She'd stopped eating and drinking. She had loose stool. She was vomiting, the whole 9 yards. Um, and I took her to the vet. They ran every test that you can run on her blood and her urine. They checked her fecal matter. She was negative for parvo. She was negative for lepto. I mean, she was negative for all these things. Her kidney function was poor. Essentially, her kidneys were uh, shutting down. We x-rayed her. There was no obstruction. There was no twist in her stomach or intestines. But we could see that her kidneys were incredibly enlarged. They were huge. And she had this rotting smell that was coming out of her that's associated with kidney disease or kidney issues. We got her on antibiotics and a heavy dose of several different antibiotics, and that alleviated the smell, and she seemed to perk up a little bit for a few days. We had her on IV fluids um, at the vet's office, and then they sent me home with bags of fluid that we did subcutaneously, and continued her meds. And then every couple days they would add a new med. They added, a different anti-nausea med and another antibiotic and a appetite stimulant med, because I was like, it's like she wants to eat, but she sniffs it and pushes it, but then she won't take a bite. And I mean, I did every trick there was. I rubbed stuff on her gums. I hand fed her. I made a paste out of stuff and used an oral syringe to get it down her. You name it, guys, I did it. Um, it was a rough week. It was a rough week of round the clock getting a teaspoon of food in her at a time. A few drops of water in her at a time. And I kept thinking to myself, am I, is this stupid? Should I not be doing this? Is she, I kept looking for signs of improvement, or if she was giving up, or if she was suffering. But she would get excited every once in a while, and she would kind of act like herself. And I think, okay, maybe she's trying, and maybe she's feeling better today. And then one day she actually ate a little bit on her own, but then unfortunately the nausea got the best of her and she threw it back up. And then she was scared to eat again. So Wednesday was rough. I won't give you guys all the gory details, but she was fine by all accounts. I mean, not fine, but she was status quo. Wednesday morning, she seemed to be eating better with the syringe. Like, I was getting it in her mouth, and then she was actually actively assisting in the eating, which some days she wasn't. And I thought, okay, wow, that's the most food I've gotten in her at one time. And she kept it all down, and she'd had a somewhat almost normal bowel movement the day before. And I was like, okay, maybe we're rounding a corner. Um, and then she started to kind of backslide. She had this episode where she was clearly in pain, and it came on out of nowhere, and she was confused, and she was kind of running in circles, like she was trying to escape whatever was hurting her. So I would just hold her when that happened. And the first time it happened, it passed really quickly, and she was fine. 5 minutes later, she was wagging her tail and okay. The next time it happened was Wednesday, early afternoon. I was in there with her. I had spent most of the day in there with her, trying to get water in her, doing her subcutaneous fluid. I had gotten her first half of her meds down her for the day, the whole 9 yards. And we were just kind of, I was just kind of monitoring her. I was just watching her. She was having trouble. You could tell she was trying to go to the bathroom and she was having a hard time. So I was kind of sitting in there with her, and she had another of these episodes that she'd had like the day before. So I held her, and she was standing, and I held her. And just when the pain seemed to subside and she got quiet, she went right into a really severe seizure. And then she passed in my arms. And it all happened very quickly. And it wasn't pleasant, and it was pretty awful. So it's taken me a couple days to even really like be able to talk about it. But I know you guys have been kind of following along with all of this, and I just needed a couple days to sort of compose myself, I guess, before I let y'all know that she had passed. It was not. I was really hoping that by today she would be like eating on her own and on the mend. She would have had almost a full course of the antibiotics. She was on a 10-day course, and she would have been done, I think, with them today or tomorrow. I can't remember now. But it's been a long week, and I was really rooting for her, and I did everything that I could. You know, we consulted with Mississippi State. We added more meds. The vet was even surprised. I went in there on Monday. As you can see, No Way is behind me. She went to the vet and got fixed, got spayed. And when I went to the vet, they added another med and gave me more IV or sub-Q fluid. And when I got there, she said, how's Nash? Kind of like, did she make it? And I was like, well, she's still with us, and this was her progress, and this is what happened. And she's like, wow. She's like, I really didn't think she'd make it through the weekends. And I said, I had my concerns too, but she's fighting. But her poor little body just shut down. And the vet said that if her body didn't respond to these antibiotics, that this course was particularly strong, and any strain of anything that she had, like of whatever they tested for that she didn't have, like of all the things it could be, I guess, this should knock it out. If not, then we're looking at something that might be congenital, that's something that she was born with, that, perhaps the vaccine messing with her immune system. I mean, we'll never know. But she'd had vaccines before, not the rabies vaccine, but she'd had vaccines before, obviously, through the beginning of her puppyhood. But she made it to 5 months and 2 days, and she passed. So it was kind of traumatic. I was really hoping that if she did not make it, that she would just go peacefully in her sleep. It was not the peaceful ending that I hoped for her, unfortunately. I hope that's not too graphic for you guys, my description of everything. But it was hard, and this was not a dog that sleeps with me every night. This was not a dog that has even ever been in the house until she was in the garage in my makeshift hospital that I made for her in there, complete with the IV stand out of my vacuum cleaner. She was just so young, and she was doing so well with her training, and it was just very kind of out of nowhere. And it's just hard. I put so much into trying to save her, and I wanted so much for her to have a better ending. I spent a nice chunk on trying to save her, which I would do it again. We all really thought that she had a decent chance. and she did show improvement at times, and then she would kind of, and then she'd get better, and then she kind of, so, but when it was, you know, Wednesday was hard, and so I cried all day, um, and Mike was nice enough. He, um, took care of her body for me and buried her in a nice spot on the property. And yeah, it just, Wednesday sucked. And the last thing I wanted to do was get on a live with you guys and just start bawling uncontrollably. Um, Coincidentally, I had also woke up Wednesday morning with my back thrown out. So I'd had to lift her out of weird positions because sometimes she would get, she managed to at one point get behind some boxes and I couldn't get her out. So I had to kind of twist myself. And then I was hunched over her in weird positions for hours at a time trying to get her to eat. And somewhere in that combination, I really tweaked my back. So Wednesday morning, Frankie actually ended up missing the bus because I had her put lidoderm patches on me, and I hadn't realized what time it was. You know, in the morning when you have your schedule and everything takes you so long, and by the time I come in from taking the dogs out and doing this and making the coffee, it's time for me to come in and give her her last warning to get outside. Me being not thinking and being in pain and worried about Nash and having to go in there and give her her anti-nausea med, because that I had to give her first before I gave her anything else. She has to have that for like 30 minutes. She had to have that for like 30 minutes before everything else. So that was always the first thing I did every morning, was just sort of check on her and get that pill down her. I didn't realize how long everything took me that morning. And so she was already like, should have been down at the corner when I asked her to put those patches on me. So she missed the bus. So I told her, I can't drive you right now. I can't even stand up. I can't sit down. I'm in this weird hunched over position, and this is as good as it gets. I'm like, I need you to wake up your dad and have him drive you to school. So she did. He took her to school, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, he's like, should we keep her home? Like, do you need help? Like, I'm like, no, I'll be fine. Once these lidoderm patches kick in, I won't know that I'm in pain and I'll be fine. So, um, so anyway, so it's still limping along, but it's better. I've been doing stretches and doing all the things, and occasionally taking some Motrin to make it happier. But yeah, so Wednesday was rough, and then I just couldn't film a sipping and spilling to get out to you guys because I just wasn't ready to talk about it. And I do want to thank y'all. I know a lot of you have been praying for her and praying for me, because this has not been easy. And I appreciate that very much. It has been a very rough couple of weeks with her being sick. And I appreciate, a lot of the suggestions of, get her tested for this, get her tested for that, try giving her this to eat, try giving her that to eat. I know they're all well-meaning, and I appreciate it. Trust me when I say I had her tested for everything that the vet could test for. We had consultation with the vet at at Mississippi State, and we tried every food under the sun, and the only thing that I got her to eat a little bit on her own was a little bit of like canned, mushy puppy food, which didn't stay down long, unfortunately. And then it was a mixture of mixed vegetable baby food mixed with beef broth. She kind of would actually eat that. Those were the only things. I tried chicken and rice. I tried pumpkin. Pumpkin she hated. I had tried salmon. I had tried chicken broth. I had tried plain chicken. Hated that. I had tried venison. She did manage to drink a little venison broth early on in the illness, but I mean, you name it, I tried it. And with very little success on any of it. So I just want you guys to know that I legitimately did everything. I tried everything. you know, and you got to remember too that she was having a lot of like dry heaving and gagging. So I had to be careful what kinds of substances. It had to be able to clear back out her mouth very well. A lot of people were saying give her peanut butter. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. She's literally just going to choke on it. So we tried, and unfortunately, you know, it was not a good outcome. It wasn't the outcome that I was hoping for or that I wanted. Um, but it's what happened. So, you know, I just wanted to let you guys know. Like I said, this is not a video I wanted to make. Um, I appreciate all the prayers over the last couple weeks for her. I really do, and it's just kind of a crappy week, guys. Just kind of a crappy week. I will say, however, the one bright spot in the week is little Noe over here. See if she'll come over. Oh, she's eating right now. She may not. Sweet girl, come here, Noe. Yeah, she's a total love. Hi, baby. I know my hands turn all weird, but she just wants pets and loves. Yes. She's just rubbing her head on my hand. She's such a love. She reminds me so much of how Bunko is with, you know how they say like cats don't like their noses touched unless like if they really trust you or whatever. She just puts her whole face into my hand and like wants to rub, you know. And she purrs like a little jackhammer. She's she's so funny. So she's been spayed and she's in her little healing pen right now and her little home base pen. So I'll leave her in her for a few weeks. I take her out every day and pick her up and love on her, and I get in there and pet on her and whatever. And she's in there making biscuits and purring now. She's so cute. Because I don't like having to leave them in their little houses, but you know, you have to when you're having an outdoor cat. They have to know where home base is. They have to understand like this is where my food is and this is where my peoples are. And so she has definitely been the one bright spot in all of that. You know, the first day I brought her home, Bunko kind of hissed at her a couple times. She sort of hissed at him. They've definitely are chill now with each other. They haven't obviously been out and played or anything together yet, but they're like not mad at each other anymore. They're not like freaked out. He's a little irritated because normally his food is in here and I leave the bottom pen door open so he can get up there and get to his food. But right now his food's over there because she's in here in lockdown. So he wasn't wild about that. And he let me know for a couple of days. He was like coming in late for breakfast, and coming in late for morning cuddles. But then he's settled down and he's back to his normal routines. So, which is good. I was afraid he was going to be like, "Oh, you've replaced me," and he'd be out of here. But he's not. He's a good boy, and I think he's going to like having a buddy. So, yeah, a few more weeks of her being penned up and let her finish healing. You know, she's got the whole shaved tummy scar situation going on. So, but she's such a good girl. Oh, no way. She's a good baby. Yeah, she's a cutie. So she has been my bright spot this week. But yeah, so anyway, guys, that's the update. It's unfortunate. It is bad news. Not the news I wanted to give you guys, but I can say with a clear conscience that I did all of the things. I tried my hardest. You know, and it didn't go the way we wanted, but we tried really hard and she fought really hard. She did. She fought really hard. Her poor little body just couldn't do it anymore. So, on that note, I thank you guys again for all the prayers and the well wishes and the support this week. It means a lot. And I hope that you have a nice weekend and that you stay blessed. And remember, safety's off.